New information meantime in the case of two Lobo players and a CNM student accused of raping a UNM student earlier this year. The DA's office has now dropped all of the charges against the men. He did that in June, but now a twist. Now the men accused of rape in the case are announcing they'll be suing UNM, claiming the school bungled that investigation.
Yeah, this comes just a week after the feds announced their investigation into how UNM handles rape allegations. The DA's office dismissed the rape charges against Lobo running back Crusoe Gongbe, defensive back Saquon Edwards, and CNM student Ryan Ruff, after the UNM investigation showed a lack of evidence in that case and inconsistencies in the women's story. But for the accused, they say the damage has already been done. It's not just the looks they get, it's also the arrests that will always be on their record. On Friday, Edwards will be the first one in his family to graduate from college, but knows the Google search results for his name could impact his job prospects. A mugshot right next to his team photo.
Everything was consensual. But the thing I got out of all of this is like God has something bigger for me and my family. So he opened my eyes, he took everything away that I was going to football, school.
Now, their attorney says UNM police started a witch hunt instead of doing a reasonable investigation, and they say they don't want that to happen to anyone else. Meanwhile, UNM says it stands by how it handled that investigation. Even though the charges have been dropped, the alleged victim still insists she was raped. We reached out to her attorney for comment but did not hear back. The feds said they got complaints about how UNM handles claims of sexual assault, which prompted their investigation. The three men and their attorneys said they never contacted the DOJ about their case.
New allegations this morning against 7 priests and friars in New Mexico. Now a national group is responding, trying to track down the victims. The 7 men are accused of sexual abuse in the Gallup area. That brings the number of priests accused there to 19. The Survivors Network for those abused by priests are now reacting to those allegations. The group is asking the church to turn over information, including where those 7 men have worked. We're told none of them currently work with the church.
Well, we would like to see church officials do everything within their power to do outreach, to turn over the documents they have regarding these accusations, regarding these clerics.
The Diocese of Gallup would not comment on the matter. We posted information on how to reach SNAP, SNAP as they're known by, on our website, KRQE.com. U.S. embassies and military installations remain on high alert this hour after the release of a key CIA report.
The report documents the torture tactics used against captives following the 9/11 attacks. A 500-page summary says that CIA investigators used brutal techniques like waterboarding, sleep deprivation, and body slamming against 39 inmates during interrogations between 2002 and 2009. The report also says Khalid Sheikh Mohammed suffered a series of near drownings, which prompted him to share false intelligence he later recanted. President Obama says there wasn't really a good time to release the report, but it needed to be done.
Part of what sets us apart is when we do something wrong, we acknowledge it.
The CIA claims that torture tactics led to the capture of terror leaders and saved thousands of American lives. The Justice Department says it's already decided that no CIA officials will be prosecuted. Meanwhile, top elected officials in New Mexico are speaking out about that report. Yesterday, Senator Martin Heinrich, who is a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, gave a speech on the Senate floor saying the tactics were, quote, un-American and it doesn't work. And in a press release, Representative Michelle Lujan Grisham says she's repulsed and says that actions go against our moral fabric as a nation that values human rights. This holiday season, many of you are expecting packages to be at your door when you get home.
Right, but instead, you might get nothing. And it's all because of a growing trend of thieves swiping your items right from your doorstep. Most of us really can't sit home all day waiting for our items, so we asked the experts for advice. News 13's Catherine Mazzone went to the Albuquerque Police Department to get tips for you. She's live in Northwest Albuquerque with more on that. Catherine?
Well, that's right, Adam. Every year, the Postal Service, FedEx, and UPS work double time to make sure that these packages get to your door. But making sure they stay there, now that's the real challenge.
Thieves take advantage of trends.
Now, Albuquerque Police Officer Tanner Touche says you have to take precautions when receiving packages. Just last year, in broad daylight, a thief was caught on camera snatching up gifts delivered to a family in the Northeast Heights, literally moments after they were delivered. In fact, the family was home too, but they never heard a thing, leading them to believe the thief was following the delivery man. Officer Taché says there are a few simple steps you can take to help ensure your packages end up in your hands. He says anytime you're ordering something online, you can offer specific instructions for delivery, like asking them to drop it in the backyard or leave it with a neighbor that's home. Ask the post office to hold any deliveries until you can pick them up. And add a Wi-Fi camera to your door in plain sight to monitor deliveries or activity. Now, there are further safeguards available.
If you're truly concerned that your packages might get taken off your front porch, for a month you can go down to any UPS store or post office and rent yourself a post office box for the month. And that way, you know, it's a secure location for your packages to be dropped off.
One more tip, require a signature for delivery. Back to you.
Says it's important to pay attention to your surroundings, especially this time of the year where thieves are looking maybe to take advantage of holiday shoppers. The county is having second thoughts about a chosen spot for a new animal shelter. Currently, the Animal Care Department is based in an old firehouse in the heart of South Valley between bond money and other funds. The county has now $6 million available to build a real shelter. A committee picked a 5.5-acre plot of vacant land off 2nd Street between Rio Bravo and Bridge, and that caught the attention of local animal rights groups.
So my wife and I went out there on Saturday to actually look at the site. And when we saw the site, we became very concerned.
The problem? Ralph Levine with an animal advocacy group says it's too remote. He's worried that would-be adopters and volunteers would be less likely to make that trip. Because of those concerns, the county's temporarily put plans to purchase that land on hold while it reevaluates other possible sites.
Okay, it's tough enough for some people to get a roof over their head, but imagine one that leaks. The Albuquerque rescue mission that gives the homeless a safe place to stay needed some roof repairs. The Roof Angel Project stepped in and did the repairs for free. Roof Care started the project 3 years ago. They select a different nonprofit to help every single year. Not bad. Good idea. A wrecked patrol car and a bizarre explanation. And just as police started an investigation, the then deputy up and quit the sheriff's department. Neighbors found this wall smashed outside a Rio Rancho home near Highway 528 in Southern. The investigation late Thursday night took Rio Rancho police a few blocks away to the home of Bernalillo County Sheriff's Deputy Jeffrey McGrew. He says someone stole his sheriff's department SUV like this one, crashed it, then parked it right back where they found it, in front of his home.
The deputy who had been in his house stated he had heard the alarm activated on the sheriff's vehicle and had come out to check it when he saw the damage.
Now, police saw McGrew standing next to the SUV when they arrived. He told them he had had 6 beers. Rio Rancho police say there are no signs anyone broke into that SUV. They're waiting on lab results to see if anyone else's DNA can be found on the door handle or the steering wheel. The same day we started asking questions about this, Deputy McGrew resigned after 5 years with the Sheriff's Department.
Happening right now, deputies are still searching for a driver who smashed into 3 BCSO patrol cars early Tuesday morning. This is an update to a story that we broke yesterday on KRQE News 13 this morning. It started during a traffic stop when a driver rammed into the stopped cruiser near Sandia Park. The deputy went after the driver, who then led deputies on a chase all the way to Wantabo and Lomas, crashing into 2 more cruisers. None of the deputies was seriously injured.
The fired APD officer who killed a woman after blowing through a red light is now licensed to wear a badge again. Yesterday, the state's law enforcement board reinstated Adam Caselsa's police certification. He was stripped of it earlier after he killed Ashley Browder in a crash that also left her sister seriously injured. He was convicted of careless driving and sentenced last week to 90 days in jail. Now, because the charge was only a misdemeanor, he was recertified to be a police officer. However, Casals could lose it again after he gets a hearing with the state's law enforcement board. Grief counselors once again will be on hand this morning for students at John Adams Middle School dealing with the death of 6th grader Alicia Griffin, who was killed in a car crash on Monday. 3 other kids were seriously injured in the wreck with an SUV near Coors and Gun Club. The girl's cousin was taking the kids to school when it happened. Deputies are still investigating what caused that crash.
If you are looking for a job right now, hundreds of new positions are on the way in Albuquerque. Comcast is looking to hire more than 200 bilingual people for their call center. The company will be hosting a job fair tomorrow from 10 to 1 at their facility near Montano and Edith in the North Valley. Comcast says the positions focus mainly on customer service.
Time now 6:03. You're probably doing this. Many of us are turning to the convenience of shopping online for the holidays. That means we have a lot of packages coming our way, and thieves know it too. So how do you keep your packages protected? News 13's Catherine Zone is live in Northwest Albuquerque with some tips on that. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Crystal. You know, if you have a package headed your way, you want to make sure that it stays at your house until you can get there. For one family last year in the Northeast Heights, it was the middle of the day when their packages were swiped. Those thieves were caught on camera. And we want to make sure this doesn't happen to you this year. So we talked to the Albuquerque Police Department to get some tips on how to keep your packages where they belong. Now, one big tip is giving instructions for delivery. You can do that just about anywhere you order. So coming up in our next half hour, I'll give you some more tips, and I'll also tell you what APD has to say about keeping your stuff safe. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Catherine. Can't wait for that information. Another thing to remember is to tell someone when you are sending a package to them, so they're not surprised when they get it.
A Bernalillo County top official could learn if he still has a job as early as next week. The county commission met behind closed doors last night to discuss a, quote, personnel issue concerning county manager Tom Zdunek. No one will say what it's about, but county commissioners will meet next Tuesday to talk about Zdunek again. He's been on the job for 3 years and makes $160,000 a year.
Listen to this story. Vandals are targeting an Albuquerque community center, and it's costing the city a fortune. For almost every weekend in the last 3 months, the Mesa Verde Community Center, Marquette and Tennessee, has been hit. The latest attack was overnight on Monday. Workers are now tasked with doing the same repair work over and over again. Now, nothing has been stolen, but the vandals have caused more than $14,000 in damage.
There are new details this morning on a deadly plane crash into 2 homes in Maryland. Watch this. Investigators are on scene today collecting evidence. The actual cause of that crash could take months to determine. In fact, at one point, some believed it may have been caused by a flock of geese, but this morning that seems to be less likely. Investigators say the plane hit one house, then bounced onto another, killing everybody on board and a mother and her 2 kids inside their home. A Maryland woman is accusing police of brutally attacking her while she was shooting video of a separate arrest.
You a dumb you know that?
The video was shot by Kianga Mwamba in Baltimore back in March. Police tell her she can record, but she has to park. Her attorney says Mwamba explained that she couldn't properly park with police in the way, but the officers pulled her out of the vehicle and tased her twice. Mwamba's attorney says his client was left with cuts, bruises, and a severe sprain. Charges against her have been dropped, but she's suing, and the officer in that video is still on the job. New overnight, a protest shut down Amtrak train service in Berkeley, California. Nearly 100 people participated in this, saying that they're angry over a grand jury's decision not to indict a white police officer in the chokehold death of an unarmed black man in New York. Several roads, including downtown, were forced to close. Amtrak had to suspend a number of its services, but they've since resumed as of this morning.
And back here in Albuquerque, a city who's seen its share of protests and anger over police brutality is taking a stand this afternoon. An advocacy group, along with several families of those shot and killed by Albuquerque police, plan to deliver more than 45,000 signatures to U.S. Attorney General Damon Martinez. The petition, hosted by Change.org, also calls for Attorney General Eric Holder to bring in federal prosecutors charging officers who shot their loved ones.
Gotta hear this. A down-on-her-luck Missouri waitress just got the Christmas tip of a lifetime. Yeah, that's Cindy Grady starting up a new car that she got. She drove away from work in it. Gary Thackett and his wife, a couple of regulars to the restaurant, noticed her old wheels a few months back and decided to help the struggling waitress just in time for the holidays. Grady says the gesture proves to her that there are good people in the world and they care and they'll help if they can.
I love the holidays.
Isn't that cool?
That happens so often this time of year. It should happen more often throughout the rest of the year.
Big gift for her. Yeah, you're right.